Premier, one issue that never seems to go away in Alberta is daylight saving time. In fact, we discussed it on this show just last month.
And look what happened. David Eby decided to move on it.
Well, at the time, you suggested to be put to a simpler worded plebiscite than we had last time in this province. And again, now that Eby has announced his province will move to year-round daylight saving time starting next year, does that put more pressure on Alberta to revisit the issue?
To be frank, it does. The reason why Premier Eby moved is I think that there's been plebiscites all down the West Coast. And so there's a lot of American West Coast states that are wanting to move this. They haven't moved yet. And he said, okay, well, it looks like you're going to go in this direction, but we can't wait any longer because the time change is happening tomorrow night and we're just not going to change the time again. And so he made that announcement. And he said that Yukon has already gone. And then Saskatchewan has already done it a number of years ago. I've talked with Premier of Northwest Territories, and he said, if you guys go, we'll go, because 90% of people support ending the time change. So you can imagine, here's the new environment that we might be in, where Alberta would be the only province in the West that is continuing the time change.
And then the question would be, do we go year-round daylight saving time or year-round
and that's where you end up with 50-50.
Oh,
so
boy.
I think we could get almost 100% agreement that we want to end the time change, but I think it's going to be 50-50. Do we go standard year-round or daylight year-round? I'm going to put my cards on the table here because I looked this up, because what it means is, think about it this way, is we only have standard time about 4 months of the year. So if you think about it, we're already 8-9 months on daylight time. It would be less disruptive to stay on daylight time year-round. But what it does mean is that the latest sunrise in the dead of winter would be about 9:37 a.m. in Calgary, and I think about 9:41 in Edmonton. Does that extra hour in the morning make that much of a difference to people? Because the other side of it is that the sunset is a lot later. Yes. And so you might get out of work at 4:30 and be able to see the sun before you end up making dinner at night, because it was set closer to 5:30. So I'm just putting it out there. My cards are on the table. If we do the time change, I'd be going for daylight. But I recognize that there is a whole pile of early risers who feel the opposite.
The interesting thing is I was looking at a map of Canada last night where it showed the different impacts of daylight saving time and standard time across the country. Eastern Canada, or the Maritimes or Atlantic provinces, it's a whole different scenario.
If you travel to the east a lot, when you're traveling in the winter, Toronto would only be an hour ahead. And so for those who do business in Eastern Canada, or those who want to go to New York or some of the eastern U.S. states, in the winter, it's actually going to be compressed. Rather than 2 hours, it would only be one. So, I would just say put it out there, because it's going to be an active conversation once BC moves. I think a lot of people, from a flight point of view, if they're going internationally, connect through Vancouver. And so do you want to be out of sync with where BC is? Because that could be a little bit difficult to navigate. We've got a lot of people here from Saskatchewan. They've kind of managed the fact that we have a different time change, but do we want to be the outlier in Western Canada? That's a big question. But I think we can all agree that we should end the time change. It just doesn't make sense anymore for us to be putting ourselves through the body changes. And we all know that there's an increase in car accidents that happen because of the quick adjustment. So just put it out there. There might be some broader reasons why we want to end the time change.